Hello and welcome to the first Bronzeville Film Festival. My name is Sheba Ramarad and I'm the Vice President of Engineering and Smart Grid at ComEd. We are so very excited to be here today to celebrate the hard work and artistry each student has put into these films. We also want to celebrate the neighborhood of Bronzeville, a community with a rich artistic past and a brighter economic, technological, and artistic future. The Bronzeville Film Festival was developed as part of ComEd's broader Community of the Future initiative, which includes programs that are designed and developed in collaboration with community leaders to make this neighborhood one of the most sustainable, resilient, smart communities in the nation. The Community of the Future is intended to serve as a model for what can be achieved across the world, demonstrating how cities and utilities can come together to meet challenges like social equity, environmental justice, and educational opportunities. That vision, however, is imbued by the achievement in art and culture, like those we see here. These short documentary films created by Bronzeville High School and college students describe the range of challenges that Bronzeville will face and highlight the role of innovative technologies in increasing the community's resilience. And now I'd like to hand it over to our host, Charles Andrew Gardner.
Thank you, Shay. It's a true pleasure to be here today. Hello and welcome to the Bronzeville Film Festival, powered by ComEd. I'm your host, Charles Andrew Gardner. Now, you may recognize me from commercials, TV, and film, but I also work behind the scenes as a director and producer. I'm the current Chicago local president of SAG-AFTRA, the Union for Television, Film, and Radio Performers, and a proud Chicago native born and raised right on the South Side. But enough about me. Today, I'm very excited to share with you 7 short documentary films written and produced by some of Chicago's most talented high school and college students. Earlier this year, ComEd partnered with a selection of schools located in and around the Bronzeville community to challenge students to create a short film that represents the history and resilience of this historic South Side neighborhood. What you're about to see in the next hour are snippets of films created by 7 student groups representing Martin Luther King College Prep High School, De La Salle Institute, Perspective Math and Science Academy, and Columbia College Chicago. You'll also get a chance to view the full winning films a little bit later. Each group was given access to film equipment, editing software, and professional mentoring to help them tell their own unique story about the community of Bronzeville. Before we get started with the films, I have to give a special thank you to the Scrappers Film Group, who served as the technical advisors for our aspiring documentary filmmakers. Finally, I have to give a big shout out and a special thank you to our panel of judges who had the difficult job of analyzing each film and scoring them on a rubric that evaluated each film's storytelling, research, technical production, and creativity. Thank you to Jim Traynor, Associate Professor of Film, Video, New Media, and Animation at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, Sheba Ramarad, Vice President of Engineering and Smart Grid at ComEd, and Mary Datcher, Media Professional and founder of the Global Mix Music and Film Forum. All right, so here is how today's film festival is gonna work. Our judges have already viewed each project and selected our 2 winning films. We will have 1 high school winning film and 1 collegiate winning film. During this program, you will have the chance to view snippets of the 5 runner-up films and the complete versions of the 2 winning films. If you're watching for a film that doesn't win today, don't worry. All of the films will be made available to watch in their entirety online after today's program. Now, let's learn a little bit more about our teams and their films. We have 3 groups representing our high school track. From Martin Luther King College Prep High School, we have the film titled Bronzeville Black Metropolis, Then and Now. From Perspectives Math and Science Academy, we have the film Bronzeville Documentary. And from De La Salle Institute, we have the film titled the power of Bronzeville. We also have 4 groups of students from Columbia College Chicago representing our college track, including the films Soulful, Chicago Painted Black, Bronzeville's Finest Nat King Cole, and The Great Migration of Bronzeville. In just a moment, you'll get a chance to see snippets of all 7 films to showcase the incredible work of all of these students. After that, I'll announce the 2 winning films and then move into the viewing of those full films, followed by a Q&A session with members of those winning teams. Let's check out clips from all of our competing high school films.
There's not much surprise the Bronzeville neighborhood was chosen to pilot the community of the future, seeing as its home to several large institutions, from hospitals to police headquarters to higher education centers like the Illinois Institute of Technology. However, Bronzeville also has a rich history of development and creativity, which is certainly shining through to these projects today.
It's interesting how the name Bronzeville came. Some say that it was chosen by the Blacks because they wanted to reclaim their identity from other names such as the Black Belt or the Black Ghetto. So bronze, the skin tone, some felt that was a better description since Blacks come in all shades. And lots of the historians say that that's what added to that kind of extra pep in your step or that extra pride, because we know in struggle, good times, and even artistic times, we are doing it with each other and for each other.
My first impression of Bronzeville, I don't know, because of the fact that I know that Bronzeville has such a rich history, I have always had a love for Bronzeville.
Bronzeville is a wonderful community. It has like so much rich history. There's just the music scene, the jazz, all of that. And now everything that's even coming back to Bronzeville, all the restaurants that are coming back to Bronzeville, the entertainment venues, the theaters, it's a great place to be.
Wow, all of those look really great. Congrats to the teams for all of their hard work and creativity. If you're interested in checking out the full versions of any of those films, be sure to stay tuned right here as we'll be posting after today's broadcast so you can watch at your own leisure. So without further delay, let's find out the winner of our high school track. Congratulations to Perspective Math and Science Academy and their film, Bronzeville Documentary. Let's check out the full film.
This is Bronzeville. Known as the Black Metropolis, Bronzeville is just 10 minutes south of downtown Chicago.
Bronzeville stretches east to west, from the Dan Ryan Expressway to Lake Michigan. Many believe Bronzeville extends from 18th Street to 67th Street. Our media production team at Perspective's Math and Science Academy was determined to learn more about Bronzeville's past in order to figure out how its future would be shaped. We began by doing research on Bronzeville. In 1916, millions of African Americans migrated from the South to the North in hopes of more job opportunities. However, the North was segregated and forced many African Americans to live in what was known as the Black Belt.
James Gentry, theater editor for the Chicago Bee, gave the Bronzeville its name for its residents whose skin color was closer to bronze than black.
The Chicago Defender, a famous black newspaper, made the neighborhood's name popular. The homes were white-owned, run-down, overpopulated, and expensive.
Despite the obstacles, Bronzeville's residents overcame. As a result, Bronzeville gained national recognition for its vibrant art and music scene.
Before we could think about the future of Bronzeville, we first had to ask ourselves what we thought about Bronzeville in the present.
The best characteristics about Bronzeville to me is that I don't find it too violent, and overall, I think it's pretty safe.
I'd say the best characteristics are its black culture and all the other things that I've seen, especially the little monuments that I've seen across town. Bronzeville will always be my home because, like, I came up, like, from Bronzeville. Like, I was, like, born into Bronzeville, so, like, I support it with all my heart.
I lived in Bronzeville for about 4 to 5 years.
Best characteristics about Bronzeville are the culture of all races that have been here. Not to show like Bronzeville any like disrespect, but I thought that Bronzeville was ghetto, bro. Like, I'm so serious. It has its ups and downs, you know what I'm saying? Like there's some, for the most part, it's a nice place to live. But then again, there's every now and then where there's a couple like gang fights or like violence.
Well, at first, yeah, I thought it was gonna be a great place to live, and that I would live here for like many years.
First impressions of Bronzeville. You know what I'm saying? I was 3 when I came in, so I really don't know. But it's a pretty good place to live. Like, no lie, I like it. Bronzeville has improved in teaching over time because, like, up in the past, like, there wasn't really like that many very talented teachers coming to Bronzeville to teach. But now, like, more teachers are coming since they like see like Bronzeville being like a peaceful place.
We decided to ask a few of our teachers about their thoughts and views on Bronzeville.
If it was any place that I was needed to be a teacher at, Bronzeville would be the spot.
I specifically wanted to become a teacher at MSA. Just truth be told, MSA has been home for me. I was one of the founding teachers or staff here when the school first opened back over 10 years ago. I left the field, and then when I came back into education, this was one of the first places that I called because honestly, MSA has been home.
One of the reasons why I wanted to be a teacher was because of the fact that I didn't get an African-American male teacher until I got in my junior year in high school. I wanted to break that for other students that was coming in or other males that was, coming in. I wanted to break that cycle for them, where they could see someone that looks just like them, and that is able to, I guess, mentor to them directly because of that one-on-one experience that we had.
I love teaching. I love teaching children that look like me. I love teaching children that look like my children. I love being able to give back and to be just a positive role model, a visual of if you keep pushing, if you keep working, you can achieve great things. You don't have to be what you may see in your neighborhood. Like the neighborhood I grew up in was super rough. We had gunshots and violence every day during the summer, just like a lot of the students that I work with. But I just really wanted to be the person that shows them that, hey, you don't have to focus on what's happening around you.
My first impression of Bronzeville, I don't know, because of the fact that I know that Bronzeville has such a rich history, I have always had a love for Bronzeville. It's like, you remember the movie Love and Basketball? And they ask, when did you fall in love with hip hop? It's like that for me with Bronzeville.
Bronzeville is a wonderful community. It has like so much rich history. There's just the music scene, the jazz, all of that. And now everything that's even coming back to Bronzeville, all the restaurants that are coming back to Bronzeville, the entertainment venues, the theaters, it's a great place to be.
Not too far from this school, Billie Holiday herself used to sing here. Or Nat King Cole, or just the enrichment of history in Bronzeville. Even I remember my grandmother pointed out a place to me. I had to be about 16 years old, and she said, oh, that's where they used to have the African American proms at, because they couldn't have them, in the school. So, they would bring all of these different celebrities would come and perform. Nat King Cole, Sammy Davis Jr., all of them would come to Bronzeville and promote that.
Oh my goodness, the possibilities are endless. Just with all of the changes that have been happening, there are more changes to come. I'm seeing a lot of developments happening and just different things. So there's definitely some very bright things in future for Bronzeville.
After listening to our teachers, we were inspired to step outside the walls of the school and learn more about Bronzeville. We checked out our equipment and took off to learn more. Our first stop was the Southside Community Arts Center. Here, we met Natalie Battles, the office manager of the Southside Community Arts Center, who gave us a tour of the museum and shared her thoughts on Bronzeville.
The Southside Community Arts Center is the oldest independently owned African American art center and collectible institution in the nation. And it's always been right here on 38th and Michigan, and we are in our 80th year, which is amazing. And that's really, really important because we're right here in Bronzeville, and we're talking about how amazing Bronzeville is, and Southside Community Arts Center is a part of that amazing history, because not only amazing Bronzeville artists came through the Southside Community Arts Center, but artists from all over the world came through the Southside Community Arts Center. Amazing Bronzeville artists, specifically like Dr. Margaret Burroughs. You also had local Chicago artists like Nat King Cole and Gwendolyn Brooks coming through the Southside Community Arts Center, but you had amazing world-renowned artists like Langston Hughes coming through the Southside Community Arts Center, and artists all the way from Africa like Dio and other really, really amazing people. I think Bronzeville is a very vibrant community, especially art community, which is close to my heart. It was the first of a lot of Black institutions, retail stores, artists, and blues and jazz, even gospel music started right here in Bronzeville. The best attributes of Bronzeville, I'm biased, but it's the art. It's the art scene. If you come through Bronzeville, you'll see a ton of empty lots. And that's because Bronzeville were, similar to the building that we're in now, the Southside Community Arts Center, these mini mansions and these really old regal homes and apartment buildings, and they're being torn down now. And a lot of the times it's not instantly being rebuilt. There's an organization that is trying to reclaim those lots and make affordable housing there, because there was also projects, or what's called the projects, buildings that were here in Bronzeville originally that were recently, a few years ago, torn down. And all of those people that lived there were sent out to the suburban areas of Chicago. In Bronzeville, there is gentrification going on, and gentrification is basically when a group of people that is not the group of people that live there come in, prices begin to raise, the culture starts to shift of the community, and that's starting to happen here in Bronzeville and several other places in Chicago. So that's interesting, but it is also really important to know that the history and culture of Bronzeville can never be destroyed, it can never be removed, it can never die. So I think Bronzeville in the next 5 years is going to actually become even more flourishing than it is now. Mariano's is now on the corner of 39th and King Drive, though that is amazing. Sadly, that's a telltale sign with more expensive stores start to come in that they are looking for a more expensive clientele as far as the community is concerned. I think it's a good and bad thing. And I say that because I don't want Bronzeville history to be lost in, for lack of better words, a whitewashing that can happen when it's all brand new. We lack resources. We don't have enough of the resources that we need to make sure that our schools flourish and that we educate our children properly, to make sure that Black dollars circulate in Black communities as far as owning our own buildings and owning our own properties and owning our own stores, so that we can, like we once did here in Bronzeville, control what happens in Bronzeville. I'm so hopeful for Bronzeville future, just like I'm hopeful for every African American community there is. I'm really hopeful because I know that there are waves of amazing, bright, beautiful, brilliant young children that are growing up, teens and young adults as well, that are coming up right now that have a different mindset on what our community can be. And I think that's the first step to changing a community. We have to make sure that we pour into our young people, and I see that happening every day. I'm looking at it right now. So with that, I have so much hope, and I know that once we truly know our history of where we come from and the greatness that have come through these different communities, including Bronzeville, we'll have a pride in who we are, who we were, and who we can be. And that'll change a mindset, that'll change a life, and that'll change a community.
After visiting the Southside Community Arts Center, we took a trip to Pearl's Place, where we sat down with the owner, Daryl Green, who also had thoughts to share about Bronzeville.
My first impressions of Bronzeville. Well, I remember years ago when I discovered Bronzeville, I thought it was an interesting place with a lot of change that was coming, and thought it was pretty exciting to see so many brown people walking around with some of this great property around here. the best attribute about Bronzeville, in my opinion, I think the diversity. I think the architecture is really, really outstanding around here, and the neighborhood is still changing. There's still some folks here who don't quite have the pride that they should have in what they have. They don't have the respect for what it is. And there are people from other communities who don't understand us. And therefore they come in and they don't feel as comfortable as we would want them to feel. They come in and they hear about things on the news that's not really what we experience every day. I'd like to see some more of the political powers that be come in and get involved and helping us to excel around here too. In the future, I think we're going to see a lot more of different types of people here. I think we're going to see people migrating here from other communities. I think we're going to see a lot of growth in the types of stores that are here and types of opportunities for people. First of all, us caring and having pride about what we have, taking care of our property and our land around us, encouraging our young people like yourself to further their education, to excel at education, and teaching them more about where they came from and more importantly, where they can go now.
There's no denying that Bronzeville is currently faced with challenges. In the midst of the challenges, there is hope for Bronzeville's future. Each of us can work together to educate ourselves on the past. We can preserve the rich history of the community, become involved in local politics, and join efforts to clean our community. ComEd has partnered with Gallery Gutchard to give us Shayla's Solar Pyramid, an initiative to provide clean energy and art to the community. All of our interviews showed us that the hope of Bronzeville is in each of us. The hope of Bronzeville is in our generation.
Congratulations again to all of the students at Perspectives Math and Science Academy. I had the chance to chat with the filmmakers earlier this month about their film. Let's check out that interview now. All right, everybody. Oh man, that was an amazing film. So right now I am joined by the awesome young filmmakers that made that possible. I'll have them go around and introduce themselves and share where you're from, and then also how did you get started into filmmaking. And we can just go Leslie, Royce, and then Sanaya, okay? So Leslie, go ahead and tell us who you are, where you're from, how you got into filmmaking.
Okay, well, my name is Leslie Williams, and I'm from Hyde Park, like the community. And I got into filmmaking when I was younger because, I was very fascinated with cameras and how interesting they worked and the different things that you could do with them and the different things that you could create with them.
Royce?
My name is Royce Horn. I was born in Kingston, Jamaica. I got into filmmaking because I used to watch videos on YouTube about people getting bullied, and I really hated it, and I wanted to help change it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Sanaya?
My name is Sanaya, and I was born in Chicago. I live on Michigan Street. The reason why I got into filmmaking is because, one, I like movies. I like watching movies a lot. And because my dad gave me like a camera and he recorded videos of me when I was younger, like walking and stuff. And he gave me that camera to like start off and stuff on YouTube videos. So me and my cousin have a YouTube channel and we like creating videos and stuff. And I really love to like learn about cameras and stuff.
Very cool. Well, hey, listen, I'm glad that all of you at such a young age decided to get into filmmaking because like I said, you did an amazing job on this film. I felt like, I mean, I'm born and raised in Chicago on the South Side, and I spent a lot of time in Bronzeville, and I felt like I was right there in Bronzeville. Like, I feel like you captured the spirit of Bronzeville, the art of Bronzeville, the culture, the people. So really, really great job on some awesome documentary making. Royce, I would love to have you answer our first question, and that's how did you get the inspiration for making this film about Bronzeville?
See, I'm not from Bronzeville, so I wanted to learn about Bronzeville's backstory and its history.
Very cool. I think more people should be like you, man. Like come to a neighborhood and respect it enough that they want to learn about it. So I'm glad that was the inspiration for you. The next question I want to throw over to Sanaya. What was the process in developing the direction for the film about Bronzeville? Like how did you all go about developing it?
The process, we had everyone had a lot of ideas. So we like all had to like pitch in our ideas, see which ones would be best for the film. And like it was hard because everybody had a lot of ideas and they were all good, but we had to like make sure it wasn't too much, so then we could like have enough for the interviews and stuff. And we had to pick the right people for the interviews to make sure they knew a lot about Bronzeville, because if we had somebody that like has only been here for a little bit and doesn't really know much about Bronzeville, then that wouldn't really be good for the interview.
Yeah, that was smart. How did you all decide to go from like student to teacher to community? That was a good progression that made me like feel like I understood Bronzeville. Like, how did you all decide that?
So Ms. Woods helped us decide most of that, because we want to like see what the students knew about Bronzeville and the teachers, and then we asked like other people, like the people from the museum, to see like to tell people what they know about Bronzeville and about the art that they make and stuff, and the art that they have over there.
Yeah, it was great. It felt like it was really balanced. It felt like I felt like I learned about the people of Bronzeville as well as Bronzeville as a whole. So you did a good job balancing that. And in the spirit of balance, we all know, or you all probably learned that a good film, a good project on the other side is gonna always have a couple of difficulties. Leslie, talk about some of the difficulties that you all had in getting this wonderful project done.
Okay, well, some of the difficulties that we had was first the making. Everyone wanted to touch the camera. Everyone wanted to work the camera. They didn't know how to work the camera, but they wanted to use the camera. So that was very hard at sorting out who would use the camera and who wouldn't. And then we had to make the lines. Everyone thought that what they thought a good interview question would be, they thought their question would be great, but in terms of what we would get from the answer, it wasn't really that great. So we had to choose out what would fit, and then everyone had different thoughts on what we should put into the documentary. So we had to strategize and work together to get everyone's thoughts into the documentary. So there's a piece of everybody in there.
From the outside looking in, I couldn't tell any of that because the film came out really well. One of the things that always gets me about filmmaking is like when you come up with the perfect plan and then you get on set or you get on location and what you thought was going to happen doesn't happen?
Right.
Did you all have that experience, and how did you like deal with that?
We had a lot of those, but how we dealt with it was we basically just took parts and we found the most easy parts and the most meaningful parts, and then we put them together, and that's how we came up with our film, most of it basically.
I'm glad you all stuck it out, because I learned a lot about Bronzeville from that process. So Royce, talk to me a little bit about some of the things that you've learned about Bronzeville after making this project.
So basically, Bronzeville changed significantly, but we still have like the art like that was made in the 1800s, so we can like learn about its history and what happened.
Cool, man. The thing I love about documentaries is that it feels like a call to action sometimes, right? You inform, but also you give them a message or like a mission to do out of it. Like, what would you all want people to do who watch this in support of Bronzeville?
Okay. People make like art out of the trash. They can like, cause I seen a video where they made a mermaid out of a lot of plastic and stuff like that. They could do that, like make a lot of art.
People in Bronzeville, like, they try to clean it up, but there's like these rude people that just throw out the trash and stuff, and they don't really like to recycle because they don't really care about those things. They just, you know, litter and stuff, and then it messes with the climate, and then there's different pollutions in the air, and people are getting sick. And Bronzeville, I think the community of Bronzeville is a very good community, and they try to deal with these problems, but it's very like overcoming. And what I want the viewers to take away from this is that Bronzeville is a very good community, and that we tried to show it out in our documentary and tried to give people our thoughts and our views on what Bronzeville is like.
Well, hey, I appreciate you all spending some time to talk to me. Again, congratulations on a wonderful project. Hopefully I see you all at the film festival. Best of luck, and take care of yourselves. Be safe and keep staying creative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll see you next time. Congratulations again. Now let's move on to our college films. 4 amazing films were submitted by students attending Columbia College, Chicago, which is a world-renowned media and arts college just slightly north of Bronzeville in downtown Chicago. Let's check out the clips from all 4 of our collegiate entries.
5, 6, 7, 8. That's the home of Southside Community Arts Center, the home of great people who are now the ranks of my Egun, my ancestors like Dr. Margaret Burroughs lived there at 38th in Michigan for, decades. So really, Bronzeville had an impact on me.
Black Chicago is 87th Street. Black Chicago is church ladies, big hats. Black Chicago is loud dressing, you know what I'm saying, like big colors. Black Chicago is Jabot jeans. Black Chicago is going to the mall and shutting it down. Black Chicago is South Chicago Street. Black Chicago is brilliance. Black Chicago is resilient. Black Chicago is still Black Chicago in the face of all that adversity.
He enjoyed watching and listening to great artists around him. As a young high schooler, he would sneak out at night to listen to renowned artists like Louis Armstrong playing his trumpet, or Earl Hines playing the piano at the Regal Theater, just blocks away from his childhood home. From 1931 to 1936, Nat became a regular performing artist in the Bronzeville Jazz District, establishing himself as a talented teen by beating Earl Hines in a highly publicized battle of the bands at the Savoy Ballroom in 1935.
Sneakers weren't even on my radar. I wanted to learn how to use a sewing machine because everything was hand stitched in prison, needle and thread to everything. And I use this sewing machine over here. I call it Betsy. I sew the vamp to the sole, which I outsource. I have a nice little box with my sticker on it, and I go get my money.
Those were really great. Kudos to everyone involved with those projects. Now for our winner. Congratulations to the filmmakers of Sophie, our 2020 winning collegiate film. Let's check out the full film. Enjoy.
Johannes LaCour, born and raised on the south side of Chicago, is making waves in the fashion industry. From leatherworking in prison to creating a startup company, YJL Sneaker Collection, Johannes is changing the world one sole at a time. Easy as pie.
How did you get into leathercraft?
I got into leathercraft. I discovered leathercraft in prison. I was in federal prison for a drug conspiracy. I was sentenced to 10 years. I did just under 9. And while I was there, they had a hobbycraft program. And one of the hobbies they offered was leathercraft. So, guys would want to send their daughters or wives or special women something for Valentine's Day, for example, and they might have a purse they've seen in a magazine that they want made, or they want to send their dad a belt or their kid a book bag, so they come to me and I make it. When I got out of prison, sneakers weren't even on my radar. I wanted to learn how to use a sewing machine, because everything was hand stitched in prison, needle and thread to everything. So I Googled everything leather when I got out in Chicago, and I found this place, the Chicago School of Shoemaking. Everybody had pretty much turned me down in terms of a job of any kind. But I came here, not even looking for a job, just looking to learn how to use an industrial sewing machine. So I took a class here. The owner did a one-on-one session with me because I was on house arrest coming out, and so my schedule wouldn't permit me to take the classes that were regularly scheduled here. From there, I started volunteering around here, cleaning glue pots and rolling leather, whatever, towards credits for classes. After I took enough classes, I was able to start teaching them. So a few months into me working here as an instructor, the school got the opportunity to create a sneaker making class. So they have boot making classes, sandal making classes, a lot of different shoe making classes, but they didn't have anything for sneakers. And so when they came across that chance to make the sneaker making class, like I wanted that spot. I wanted to teach that class. I kind of put my bags and my other leather goods on the back burner to focus on making sneakers, and the rest is Black history in the making. When I make a shoe, I take a leather hide, I cut out a pattern, usually 3 pieces. You got this side and this side. Those are each vamps. I bring them together. I cut the lining, leather, foam, padding, and all that. I cut a tongue, and I use this sewing machine over here. I call it Betsy. I sew the vamp to the sole, which I outsource, and then I hand stitch, which I'm doing now, I hand stitch the toe to the rest of the shoe. I put in the midsole and the insole, and I put in my leather laces, and I clean them up. I put them in a nice little box, put my sticker on it, and I go get my money. In Chicago, for us growing up, sneakers was everything. Sneakers were our gold chains. They were our cars. They were our fur coats. You know what I mean? If you could, scrounge up enough money, hustle up enough money, had a parent fortunate enough to make enough money to buy you some sneakers, it was a status symbol. So I grew up when the first Jordans came out, right? And I couldn't get none. But if you had some, you were doing something serious. So right now you got 1 million sites, where people are going to get sneakers. You can order, you can pretty much find any sneaker on the internet. We used to have to scour the blocks. We used to have to hit these little obscure little gym shoe sneaker shops. There was a lot of little shops in and out of there. You kind of had to know which ones to go to, who to talk to when you digging through boxes, and you might find some spot belts or just something real exclusive. So it was, and that was just finding the shoes was something. And then once you found them, you couldn't tell nobody. It was I don't know what you know about the dope game, but nobody is telling anybody else who their plug is. The plug is your supplier. If you found some sneakers that nobody else had, you didn't tell anybody where you got them. Sneakers, it was a lifestyle. I grew up Bronzeville, we called it the low end, dangerous area, but it was vibrant in a dangerous kind of way, if that makes any sense. And you might have to be from Chicago to understand that. Bronzeville is down the street from Hyde Park. It's almost adjacent, right? So we were like neighbors. So I got a lot of buddies who grew up in Stateway Gardens and the Ida B. Wells projects. And so I was through there frequently with friends and hanging with people I knew. So, and it's like a second home. You're working on something, keep pushing, don't stop. For folks in prison or coming home from prison, there are other ways, and shut out, that those voices around you that tell you you can't do better. Keep pushing.
Absolutely amazing. I really have to give a big round of applause to all of the students who participated this year. There's so much untold history and beauty in Bronzeville, and I'm learning so much that I never knew about the people and businesses that have existed in this neighborhood for decades. And now, to learn a little bit more about the film, here's our video chat from earlier this month. All right, everybody, I'm here with the filmmakers of Soulful, the film documentary about shoemaking in Bronzeville. I'll allow you all to go around and introduce yourselves, just one at a time. Let me know your name, and also let me know if you're from Chicago, where, and if you currently live in Chicago, where.
Okay, I'll start. My name is Layla. I am from Chicago. I'm from the south side of Chicago, and currently I live in Wrigleyville.
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm originally from New Jersey, but I live in North Carolina now because of the pandemic. But I live downtown for school, and this semester I'm moving to Wrigleyville also.
Hi, my name is Diana. I lived in Logan Square, but I'm an overseas student, and because of the current situation, I had to return to London, United Kingdom, which is where I live at the moment.
Great. Well, hey, talk to me a little bit about how you all got into filmmaking.
So I became a filmmaker by accident. I am actually a ballet dancer, and I wanted to go to Columbia originally for dance.
Cool.
I thought about all the years that I was making little fake movies on iMovie, and I was like, maybe I could be a filmmaker. And so that's how I'm here as a documentary major.
In high school, we were able to work with, I took a class, a communications class, that was able to work very closely with the local news station. We basically directed the daily news show. And so I really liked nonfiction storytelling, and I really liked the whole realm of being able to meet new people and tell cool stories. So that's how I kind of wound up at Columbia.
And me, I also became a filmmaker by accident. I have been very passionate about discovering the world for the past 10 years. I love learning about new cultures, new religions, and lifestyles. So I traveled through a big chunk of the planet, probably half of it, and I came across endless stories of unique people, places, things, and I just felt like I had to tell them. So I started filming documentaries, and regarding Johan's, I just felt like his story fit right in, and we just had to tell it. And I think we were very lucky that we met him.
Look, documentaries are all about the people and all about the places and all about, you know, what makes them unique. And that's going to be what makes folks want to watch a documentary, when we have that connection to the people, you know. Layla, I'm really curious about your process in developing the direction of doing the short film about Bronzeville.
Yeah, and so we really wanted to, first of all, there was a lot of research that had to go into making a film about Bronzeville. And so we had to learn about the origins and the history and the presence of Black people and Black Chicagoans in Bronzeville. So that was number one. And with that being said, once we got our research down pat, we wanted to know, okay, what can we do a story about? And one thing I think about is art when it comes to Bronzeville. And so like jazz and paintings and dance, like it's just so full of rich art culture. And so we wanted to find an artisan of some sort to, you know, just say like, hey, like I do art here, I'm from Bronzeville. And we really wanted to find somebody that we really wanted to find a good story and like not a negative story, because I think a lot of times when we talk about Bronzeville and other neighborhoods of color in Chicago, they are depicted in a negative light. And so we really wanted to hyper focus on a positive story coming from the South Side, coming specifically from Bronzeville, about an artist who is very successful.
And so did you find your person first, or did you decide to go the artisan way first? Like how did you find him?
Julia actually was the one who found Johan's story through the newspaper. And so we loved his story. We thought his story was very compelling, and that's the story we went with.
I mean, it definitely is a compelling story. I mean, to take that determination and tie it into a childhood passion and make a career out of it is just fantastic. Julia, talk to me about how you found him, and talk to me also just a little bit about the inspiration for this film.
Yeah, so like Layla said, we found him in the local Bronzeville paper. Someone had written a story about his story, and I just thought it was so interesting. It was really easy to talk to him. He was a super great guy. We were really wanted to tell a story about Bronzeville, like again Layla said, that showed a positive light, a different story that is usually told in the media. And so Johan's had that. He had every aspect of the story that we wanted to tell, and the business that he had created from the ground up had really just blown us away. And so that's how we knew that we really wanted to interview him and make him the main subject of our story, to make it about this man, but also so much more universal than that.
This is sounding like the perfect project, y'all. But of course, if you've ever made a film, you know that they're never perfect. There's always at least one hiccup along the way. Diana, talk to me about some of the challenges or difficulties in filming this project.
To be honest, I think that filming Johan's story was probably one of the easiest things that I ever had to do personally. Because as a filmmaker, you know from the beginning if the person that you're interviewing will be a good speaker or not, and that's very important for your documentary, because it's a struggle to film people that are uncomfortable in front of the cameras and that are not used to speaking about their feelings. Because, you know, let's face it, it's really not an easy thing to do. And I felt like Johan was absolutely wonderful, and honestly, we could sit down and listen to him speak for a full day, which is probably, as I was discussing with Julia, one of the biggest challenges that we had to face. We didn't know what to keep and what to take out of the documentary. It could have been easily a 1-hour documentary. He had so many amazing things to say, and we had to decide. It was really hard to actually sit down and decide what to keep in our documentary. Another thing is that personally for me, it was absolutely fascinating meeting him and speaking to him about the African American culture, because as a European, I didn't have much contact with this culture, and what I know about it, I know through media, what we see on TV, what we read in the newspapers, And that is not always accurate, or maybe it's being told from a certain perspective. That is, of course, a personal thing. However, this is where Lila stepped in. She was an amazing interviewer. She really connected with Johannes. When Johannes starts to speak about his life experience, he's just like a book that you cannot put down. It's amazing.
Yeah, he was really easy to connect with, like from Chicagoan to Chicagoan. Once we got on camera, we were just chopping it up, honestly. He dropped a lot of gems, like even off camera, we had to keep recording everything he was saying because he had a lot of powerful messages to say, and like we just wanted to get it all. Like Diana said, it could have easily been a 1-hour film because he really had a lot of amazing, powerful, inspirational things to say for us and for Black children and for other Black people in fashion. It was just really overall inspiring.
Anything else that you all want to share about your any takeaways from Bronzeville or the process of working on this film?
I'll just go ahead and say learning how more to connect with the people that you're interviewing and, you know, the people that you're trying to get to tell the story. I think that was actually quite easy for me and Johannes. But in many ways, I had to learn how to sit there and actually listen and actually get him to be comfortable on screen. So that was an interesting process for me to be able to get him to be comfortable and for him to, you know, say what he had to say in a very easy manner instead of being, you know, very, you know, uptight and very scared on camera, because a lot of people do get camera shy. So that was an interesting experience for myself.
Job well done, because it worked. He was as cool as a cucumber. Do people say that anymore? Cool?
Yeah.
No.
We'll bring it back.
Diana, bring us on home. Let me know what you want the viewers to take away from this film in terms of their knowledge about the impact of climate change on diverse communities such as Bronzeville.
Sure. I think that through our film, we wanted to really address the issue of mass production of low quality, cheap items that never last, especially in fashion. Because second to oil, the clothing industry is the largest pollutant in the world. And at the moment, we're facing two massive issues globally. And one is the carbon footprint, and the other one is waste. The fast food industry that we have nowadays is really not sustainable, and we're running out of time to tackle emissions, and consumers need to become more aware of the impact that their clothes and their shoes have on the environment. So artists like Johannes, they create unique pieces from sustainable materials that are handmade locally. They're gorgeous, they're high quality, which means, of course, that they will last for a long time. And plus, you know, each piece that he makes, it has its unique story. And this is exactly what we need, I think. We need sustainable, ethical fashion like it used to be back in the days. And, you know, hopefully soon saving the planet can be the new trend. It can be the new fashion.
I like that. Look good and feel good all at the same time. Hey, you all have been great guests, and you all are great filmmakers. Best of luck in this competition. And most importantly, best of luck in your careers as you go out and share important stories about the people and places around the world that we all need to know about. Enjoy the day. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi. Thank you.
Thank you again to all of the students, teachers, professors, and mentors that made all of these incredible film projects come together. As some of you may know, this film festival was scheduled to happen in person at the DuSable Museum, but due to the pandemic, we had to get almost as creative as these students and make it a virtual event. I'm so glad that we were still able to showcase all of this work. So a big shout out to the team over at ComEd for making this virtual film festival happen and for providing this opportunity for young filmmakers to share their voice and to display their art. Well, that's my time for today. It's been a true pleasure being your host for this virtual experience. I hope you all enjoyed the films as much as I did and that you'll join us next year. In the meantime, you can find out more about me on social media by following my name at Charles Andrew Gardner. I hope to see you all soon. For right now, though, I'll kick it back over to Shay for some closing remarks from ComEd. Bye now.
I would like to thank each and every one of you once again for your participation in the Bronzeville Film Festival and for your support of this event. When we began plans for the festival last year, I could not have imagined that our film screening would have to be done virtually due to a global pandemic. Although COVID-19 has changed many things about the way we communicate and the way we celebrate, there are many things to be thankful for. Your participation and support for the Bronzeville Film Festival have shown us the resilience of this community. This resiliency is especially significant as we face the realities of climate change have made it absolutely necessary to act proactively. This means ensuring that our energy systems are equipped with advanced technologies to improve reliability and resilience. But it also means that we use these technologies to engage you and support your community through STEM efforts, job creation, and artistic events like the Bronzeville Film Festival. We are so thankful to have partnered with local students and schools to make this festival into a reality. And I am so grateful to all of you in attendance for providing us with your input. This is a very valuable part of the process. We hope that this festival is just one of many events that celebrate history, technology, art, and a smart future for Bronzeville. Gwendolyn Brooks, who was the first African American to win the Pulitzer Prize in Poetry, wrote, "We are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond." When I read the quote, I think of Bronzeville, and I see the resilience of a community begins with its people, which these films so beautifully illustrated. Through Community of the Future, we are demonstrating some of the world's most cutting-edge energy technology to increase resiliency and mitigate the efforts of climate change. But without a strong community to leverage that technology, to stay connected with each other, these efforts would not be nearly as effective. As we wrap up this celebration and award ceremony for the Bronzeville Film Festival, please keep in mind that we all play an important role in the resilience of this community, that we are each other's harvest, we are each other's business, we are each other's magnitude and bond.